Ladies and gentlemen, Davante Adams made some insane comments about the Raiders' struggling offense. But who exactly is he talking about? Who is he blaming for this mess? Or is it just a nothing burger and everything will work out perfectly fine for the Raiders? We're gonna break this down, and Marky Mark is having a little celebration. He's happy. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Raiders content. By the way, we're live during the Derek Carr and Saints game against the Jaguars tonight for Thursday Night Football. Sorry, haters. So a celebration video emerged of our favorite owner, Mark Davis, after the Las Vegas Aces won the WNBA Finals here. They won the championship, and you got the trophy, and you got, Disco Mark. Mark Davis showing some moves, pumping the arms here. And Mark Davis looks a lot happier as a WNBA owner compared to when he is calling people assholes as an NFL owner. Part of the reason why he is not frustrated as a WNBA franchise owner is because he has great talent like Kelsey Plum. And she was celebrating the victory with a familiar face for Raider Nation, Darren Waller. And despite the fact that Josh McDaniels, booted Darren Waller out of Las Vegas, well, Mark Davis seems like he's still good friends with Darren Waller. They're sitting next to each other on the game there. Darren Waller with the backwards hat, Mark Davis in the all-white pimp suit that he tends to wear all the freaking time. And the reason why I love the Las Vegas Aces and I love Kelsey Plum, and she's one of my favorite athletes of all time, is because she has bangers like this. Always remember when Josh McDaniels and Ziegler booted Darren Waller out of here. It is when Kelsey and Darren just got married, and then Josh McDaniels' wedding present to them was to trade him to the New York Giants, and I love her for doing this so much. She replied to this phenomenon saying probably because he wasn't invited to the wedding. Josh McDaniels, you can't be trading away players because you don't get an invite. But the big story here is Davante Adams. His recent press conference was quite insane. Keep in mind, he left the locker room early this past weekend after the victory against the New England Patriots, and he was not available for media comment after the game, but he is now, and he talked about his frustration with this team, and what he says a lot about the future of the Raiders and what the problem is on the offensive side of the football. Keep in mind, the Raiders have not scored on offense over 20 points in a single game so far, and this is while being one of the top 5 most expensive offenses in the NFL. Davante Adams was asked about his frustration overall.
I mean, it's a work in progress. Obviously, we're going to continue to work through it, but I mean, I'm a human being and I have extremely high standards for myself and this offense.
Davante Adams calls himself a human being. No, he is a freak in nature. You are not human. You are beyond human, Davante. You're superhuman, bro.
I'm sure people thinking like, they won the game, they won the Packers game, why is there an issue? I mean, you see why it's an issue. Y'all should know who I am, know what I'm about at this point, so it's not about.
And that is why this is a story, is because the Raiders are technically on a 2-game win streak, but they're such ugly wins, such shitty wins, that Davante Adams still not satisfied.
When you're a player like me, mentally, my benchmark is not wins and losses, it's greatness. So when I go out there, I expect to be able to have that ability to put that on tape and have an influence on the game. And that's, like I say every week, that's my purpose for being here. I'm not here just to hang out and, like I said, come here to hang out with Derek and all of that stuff.
Is that gonna make some Carr haters mad that he's bringing up Derek Carr? We're not allowed to mention him, but Davante's mentioning him.
Came here to win and to do it the right way. If it don't look like it's supposed to look, then I mean I'm gonna be frustrated if I'm not a part of that plan, because as I have the opportunity to go and to change that and make it look like a much better picture out there, and if that doesn't happen, then I'm gonna be frustrated.
I think the key point here is obviously he's the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. He was acquired to be a part of this team and to help this team win, not just be cute with Derek Carr. And if the Raiders are not successful on offense, and if he's not getting a lot of production, then it does beg the question, what is the point of him being there?
If Jacoby goes out and have a monster game, or if the offense is scoring every 5 plays like our first drive on the Bills, then it is what it is. It's not about me, but I'm one of the bigger pieces, as to why this offense is going to go. And if I'm not getting it, then that's obviously not according to plan.
So some fans are calling Davante Adams a diva. Oh, he just wants his stats. Oh, he just wants his numbers. But keep in mind, he was frustrated after the Pittsburgh Steelers game because the Raiders lost. And that was a game when he had 146 yards. So he's making it clear it's not about stats for him. It's about the fact that the offense is not productive. They have not scored by themselves over 20 points in a single game. Davante's making it clear that if they were, he wouldn't really be complaining right now.
I'm not naive. At the end of the day, it's not easy throwing to somebody who gets the coverage that I get. You know, it's a lot of attention, a lot more than what I'm sure Jimmy, Derek, Hoy, whoever we got out there.
I like the nickname for Hoyer, Hoy. But Davante Adams does not mention Aaron Rodgers here. He mentions every other quarterback that he has worked with. It seems like he's saying that he's always double or triple covered. That's how it's gonna be, but it's still possible to get him the football. Think about Tyreek Hill and the Miami Dolphins. That guy is getting the rock, and he is the centerpiece of that offense. And the defenses are obviously double and triple covering him, but you gotta scheme it up and you gotta find a way.
It's gonna be different. So it's a lot of things that have to go right, whether it's the play call that's being, put in at that particular moment. Not saying that the play calls are bad, but
oh, here we go. The play call. I wonder who does the play call. And Davante Adams knows that we're all just licking our chops, waiting for him to slam genius Josh McDaniels. And so obviously he has to very quickly say, not that the play call's the problem, but the play call.
All that's being, put in at that particular moment. Not saying that the play calls are bad, but, it's real critical each time of making sure you execute the proper way. So if we can't adjust throughout games, talk, me the quarterback or me and the head coach or, whatever the case may be, having the proper communication to make the picture right, well then it's going to be a lot more difficult than, it was 3 years ago on third down for whoever else was out there with Derek. Just the way that it is. So I'm aware of that, and I know that it's not easy, but I've done it, and I even did it last year.
Ooh, that's an important point right there. He's saying it's not easy. You got to scheme differently when you got a player like Davante Adams on your team because of the amount of attention that he gets. And it's interesting for him to say that they've done it before and they even did it last year, and it seems like it's not happening now. That begs the question, what is the difference between last year and this year?
And I know that it's not easy, but I've done it, and I even did it last year, and we've had flashes, this year making it happen, but it just got to happen on a more consistent basis in order for us to be the offense that we want to be.
It seems like the Steelers game where he had 146 yards is an example of flashes of this, but that is a game that they have lost. Sometimes we forget what Davante Adams and the Raiders with Derek Carr accomplished last year in terms of his individual stats. Obviously, they lost games, right? But he had the second most yards and receiving in his entire career last year, and he also had the second most touchdown receptions in his entire career last year.
Davante, Josh put you in the group with Randy Moss, which is one of the greatest, and he seems just as frustrated as you are, wanting more.
He is.
Is that not refreshing though when your head coach is just as frustrated as you are? You guys are on the same page.
This is the reporter with McDaniels. That's a really odd way to set up a question. Davante, are you stoked that your head coach, who's supposed to be an offensive genius, is upset that his offense is playing shitty? No shit, he's frustrated.
Not refreshing though when your head coach is just as frustrated as you are. You guys are on the same page.
100%. It definitely makes you feel better that other people see it the same way as you, but that don't fix it. You still got to do something about it as a whole, not him, but as a whole, we still got to find a way to get it going. But obviously, it makes me feel a little better knowing that I'm not crazy. People are thinking the same way that I am.
Oh, well, that's good. Josh McDaniels does not think Davante Adams is crazy. But I think if we're trying to tease out who Davante Adams is talking about here, what is the problem? It seems like the reporter was trying to position Josh McDaniels and Davante Adams as in the same camp, both frustrated, both seeing the problem outside of them two. When in reality, this problem with the offense and this problem with this team not being as explosive as we thought it would be, this has been going on for 2 years. It happened last year, and it happened this year, even with different quarterbacks that were handpicked by the offensive genius head coach. So we can try to act like Davante Adams and Josh McDaniels are just both so frustrated together. But that begs the question, what's the solution? Another freaking quarterback?
Well, it's not much. It's not really about them understanding. I think everybody has the same idea. It's not like, hey, we got to get Tay the ball. Like, we just figuring that out.
It's like, I have Davante Adams on my team. What should I do? I think I'm gonna check it down to Josh Jacobs.
It's just about executing the plan that we are obviously implementing throughout the week to make it happen. Whether it's, the players executing better or certain situations just having, putting us in the best position possible to make it work.
In that response, he is leaving the door open for the play call being the problem.
Certain situations just having, putting us in the best position possible to make it work.
He's saying they need to be put in the best position possible to make it work. At the same time, he's talking about execution. But I feel like players, and it's not just exclusive to Davante Adams, I feel like players often just say, oh, we need to execute better, execute. And they say that when they don't want to say the real thing. That's the actual problem behind the scenes. And maybe it is just execution, but so far throughout this entire press conference, the only issue with regards to execution that's been highlighted has been from quarterback to receiver. Haven't heard him talk about the offensive line or any other pass catchers at all.
I don't know many great ones that didn't demand to be a big part of what's going on. And like I said, it's not like I'm asking for something that they don't want to do. You know, I'm not sitting here saying, you know, I'm on a team where, you know, these guys got me here and, you know, I'm just wasting me intentionally.
So Davante Adams does see those comments around the World Wide Web. You got Raiders fans talking about how Davante Adams is trapped, but he's trying to say he's not being wasted and that Josh McDaniels wants to get him the football. I think he's trying to put the message out there that him and the coaching staff are on the same page.
Making it happen, and like I said, I feel like I've said that like 3-4 times now, but that's really what it comes down to. It's like, you know, it's the idea, it got to be the idea, but that's a prerequisite to making it happen. You know, that's got to be the idea. Everybody's got to want to do it, but making it happen is the next part.
So it's got to be the idea, and now it's about making it happen, which is getting Davante Adams heavily involved in the offense, which is having an explosive offense, which you're supposed to have when you got a player like Davante Adams. And it seems like he's trying to say, you know, the coaches want this too. Josh McDaniels is frustrated as well. But at the same time, the two reasons that he gives for it not happening is the quarterback not making it happen because, you know, he's double and triple covered, and that's unusual for a lot of QBs to work with a guy like Adams who gets covered like that. But also, he mentions putting them in good situations and the play call. He has mentioned this. He's trying to say it's not the only issue, but he is definitely mentioning it as an issue. And I think a lot of people, especially people favorable to Josh McDaniels, want to just say that the quarterback is the issue. But at the same time, Josh McDaniels decided to have Derek Carr as his starter in 2022. He could have done something else. And he also decided to have Jimmy Garoppolo as a starter in 2023. He could have done something else. So Josh McDaniels has chosen these quarterbacks 2 years in a row. Are we really going to go through another year of, oh man, we just got to find the right quarterback? At a certain point, do we start to look at the pattern and see the problem as the guy who's been there for 2 seasons, Josh McDaniels? And I always go all the way back to this game last year in week 9 when the Raiders lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars and they were up 17-0. It was another double-digit blown lead. Davante Adams was on fire, and what he kept saying after the presser, even though he blamed execution a fair amount, he kept on repeating the point that they went away from what was working.
I think that, you know, the way we were attacking in the first half was it was working to a certain extent. You know, obviously, like I said before, we could be better, but it was working, and I feel like we got away from that and, you know, started playing the game a little different. And that's not the way we got to do it. We got to take the field, be ready to make plays, and convert on whatever's called.
Obviously, as a player, you can't just start blaming the coaches. You can't just start blaming the players. You got to play both sides. But he's clearly stating that the plan in the first half of the game was different than the second half, and we went away from the plan that was working. Who decides what the plan is? Who decides which plan the players execute? It's one freaking guy. It's the head coach / offensive play caller, Josh McDaniels. I hope Davante Adams and Josh McDaniels are 100% on the same page, and this is just an issue of the quarterback, and they just need to keep rolling the dice every year until they find the perfect quarterback for Josh McDaniels, the offensive genius. I'm sorry, I was told that this guy could turn a high school QB into an all-pro. He said this one time in the locker room, according to an offensive lineman who was there during his time with the Denver Broncos. But for some reason, he can't turn Derek Carr or Jimmy Garoppolo or right now, quite possibly Aiden O'Connell into an all-pro. So I want to believe that everything's kumbaya and Davante Adams just loves Josh McDaniels. Everything's working out great. They're both equally as frustrated and on the same page. But at the same time, I keep seeing this pattern here of Josh McDaniels just not working out as a head coach, just not working out as an offensive guru with the Las Vegas Raiders for 2 years in a row. And I think despite the win streak, Davante Adams could see what's happening. He could see it's not working out. The Raiders need to do something, change something, or I think a lot of serious heads might roll. And who knows if Davante Adams is trying to let the coaching staff and the Raiders know that he's willing to talk and he's frustrated and he will voice his opinions as to what is going down with the Raiders at the press conference. Who do you think Davante Adams is talking about in the comments below? Is he just frustrated with the quarterback? Is that all it is? Or is it something more than that? My name is Wi-Fi Willie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.